What up? This is Dregs One. This is another episode of the History of the Bay, and today I want to talk about Mike Dream, one of my biggest inspirations. Dream TDK is regarded as one of the most respected and skilled graffiti writers to ever do it. Tragically passed away in 2000. His legacy lives on, and today I want to take a special dive into this craft and the life of Bay Area legend. So why I want to do this video is because Dream is one of the first writers I ever became aware of. I started writing in 2001, which is not too long after he passed. And how I became aware of him at first was driving by the huge memorial that was done for him on Alamany in San Francisco. And at the time, that represented the peak of graffiti skill to me and introduced me to this figure of Dream. And shortly after that, I would find out what happened to him, that he was actually murdered not too long ago. That was a big shock. And as I kept going into the graffiti world and just living my life and meeting more people, I got to know more about this man's story, his art, his legacy. And what really motivates me to keep talking about someone like Dream and why I look up to him in many ways is because of what he stood for, in terms of bringing a message through his art, not just making art for art's sake, and also taking a community revolutionary type of mindset to his art that was still relatable on a street level. I think he was really intelligent. I think he was really talented. From everything I hear, I never got to meet him, but he sounds like an amazing person. Before I go any further, I want to give a special shout out to Spie TDK. Through meeting and knowing Spie over the years, painting with him, chilling with him, building with him, I've gotten to know a lot about Mike Dream and his relationship with Dream. And Spie has often blessed me by showing me photos, showing me things from the archive, putting me on to different videos. You can check out a lot of graffiti-related videos on his channel as well. This is one of the things that Spie blessed me with, is a sketch by Dream where he shouts out different artists in hip hop. Spie actually painted this outline at UC Davis Law School when I arranged to paint a mural up there dedicated to Martin Luther King and Dream, which is pretty fitting given that the school is named after Martin Luther King and he's well known for his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. And this is the type of inspiration I get when I think about Dream. Another thing that I got through Spie was this copy of some of Dream's own writings that explain his relationship to graffiti and how he got started and some of his philosophy. So I thought it would be a good idea for people to hear from the man himself. Writing is my life. I am a graffiti writer. I don't refer to my writing as graffiti. According to the dictionary, graffiti refers to a scrawl on a wall, whereas I consider my writing as an art form, an expression in paint with a message. Whatever people say about the terminology, I write. I've been writing since somewhere around '83. Phase 2 was an early influence along with Dondi. New York writers were also huge influences because they were the first brothers doing walls and trains. We also saw books and newsprint of the writing and the breaking, and we fed off of that. After a few years of getting up, I eventually met FaZe at a gathering of writers where he showed slides, and we hung out, went to DJ Cubert's pad, and then to DJ Apollo's along with Spie from the TDK crew. TDK, Those Damn Kids, etc., originated in Oakland in '85, '86, a close-knit family which has managed to stay together to this day and continues on its mission with the message. FaZe talked a lot about basketball and the history of East Coast writing, and he gave me a lot of respect for the writing we were doing here. My younger brother John, who was into breaking at the time, attempted writing, and that pushed me to try a piece. I was infatuated with the letters. I saw this book called Hip Hop, which was the original Bible of graph writing, where we bit a lot of the style, but we eventually developed our own style. The softy letters, the throw-ups, arrows, connections, 3D, some of the cartoon characters all came off the subway trains. But we began experimenting with unorthodox letters dealing with entire pieces on walls. And we did the Southern Pacific. We might not have had to deal with the third rail, but we always had to worry about being rolled on. A lot of the early East Side pieces were done on the 23rd Avenue train yards. It was the spot for the early writers like Apollinaire, who was one of the first illegal rebel artists to hit the Bay Area. He dropped a lot of the Marvel characters on East Bay walls, but not so much the writing. Around 84, 85, the letters started appearing with the early writers like the Bomb Squad crew, with Fresh, Schmo, Style, Quest, and then later myself. I tried to incorporate my own imagination into a unique letter style. When I found myself in court for a vandalism charge under a different tag, I changed to Dream, which I wrote on the court papers. It was the beginning of a life commitment, and I've been writing Dream ever since. I went through a consciousness phase in writing, realizing that art for art's sake was weak and that there was power in my message. I began to understand the roots of my own culture. My Filipino heritage taught me about the struggles and sacrifices of my people for equality in this country, opening my eyes to the racism that surrounds our lives and all of our brothers and sisters of color. My pieces started to have more content and substance, and each piece meant more than bombing, which is a fundamental part of this writing culture, but had more of a message. My writing has become part of mental liberation, focusing on issues such as police brutality, national liberation, racism, and rebellion. But ultimately, it is the style of the letters, the words, that keep me writing, because to stay in the game, you need to stay on top of your style and ride that shit. Dream One, TDK, FC. So that right there breaks it down better than I ever could. I appreciate being able to have access to Dream's writings. Shout out to Spie for distributing this. That basically sums up why Dream is such an important writer in the history of this culture. And not only did he stand for these values and represent this culture like this, his skills were off the hook. As he said, he was all about his style, and he kept pushing it, kept elevating it. And that's definitely another reason why he's a huge inspiration. Just seeing what he accomplished in just a short time is enough to make anyone want to step their game up and push this art to the highest level. There's other sources that you can consult to hear some of Dream's interviews in his own words. I will share that another important event that really shaped the trajectory of Dream was losing his friend Plan B. Plan B was part of the Hobo Junction crew along with Saphir, and Dream represented for that crew as well, rocking the artwork for Saphir's Boxcar Sessions album. If you want, you can check out the video Jesse's Gone to learn more about what happened to Plan B and hear Dream speak on it himself. I highly suggest anybody go check that out. It's on YouTube on Spie's channel. This is another print that Spie hooked me up with of the mural that Dream painted for Plan B in East Oakland. That was in 1993. The mural had started to fade and the TDK crew restored it in 2013. This mural is still standing in East Oakland. Dream also gave it up for his friend and crewmate Pac One of the TDK crew. You can see Dream refer to Pac throughout the years in a lot of his pieces, and you can also see a lot of the work that they did together. Dream and the rest of the TDK crew definitely represented for Pac after his passing. Another dope piece of Dream saga is how he went out to New York and got down with writers out there. As you heard in the piece that I just read, he was influenced by the New York writers, and he gave it up to some of the early subway writers like Phase 2 and Dondi. Dream visited New York City. He was part of art shows out there, collaborated with other artists. He and Spie were also part of FC Crew, which started in New York City. The FC Crew has a lot of talented writers in their roster. People have been putting it down in the East Coast and beyond for a long time. So you can also check out footage of one of Spie and Dream's trips to New York in the documentary Dirt Style 3, which was filmed and directed and edited by Spie. You can also check that out on his YouTube channel. It's a trip that Dream is such a legendary figure, and I've gotten to meet and know so many people that knew him. Even though I never met Dream myself, I feel like I've gotten to learn a lot about him. And one of the things that I've heard the most is his personality and how he showed love. Even to writers who were far from his level, he always kicked words of encouragement instead of negativity. Dream was definitely someone that could relate to the street life and the Oakland community. And I think it's dope that he also represented for that in his art and tried to uplift that community with his message. Having that kind of skill and being that humble and down to earth and grounded in your own roots, but able to celebrate other people's cultures as well, that's something that really inspires me. There's so many artists that reach high levels of skill and they turn out to be assholes down the line. And they hate on people who are coming up instead of giving encouragement. And knowing that somebody as skilled as Dream was also that humble and approachable and cool. I've heard many stories of people pulling up on him at his airbrush shop at the mall where he would do custom shirts and clothing for people and allow people to hang out with him and shadow him and watch him work. Sounds like he was always showing love in the community as well as speaking out against these issues. I really can't stress enough how much that type of example inspires me. Very sadly, in 2000, Mike Dream was gunned down in West Oakland. This is a tragic death. He left behind his infant son, Akil. Obviously, this is still a big loss to this day. For purposes of this video, I don't feel the need to give too many details about his death because I know how painful that is for people to have to relive. But there are articles that have talked about it and the family has spoken on it before. So I'd encourage you to check some of those out if you want to know more about the story. But it's crazy. It just seems to be another incident of somebody who had a good message taken too early. To me, this is in the lines of losing people like Tupac or Nipsey Hussle. It's just one of those deaths that leave a huge loss, but also leave a huge legacy. People like Mike Dream are immortalized through their art. I salute everybody that's kept his name alive, the TDK crew, and especially Dream's own family. Shout out to his brother, Lil John TDK, and Dream's son, Akil. I know Akil faced a lot of adversity, also losing his mother not long after losing his father. Went on to attend college, play football. This is actually one of Akil's own designs that he brought back for Dream Genetics. So he's trying different things to keep his father's name going and always representing. And I give my respect to him and the rest of his family because they've all been pushing around Dream's legacy. February 17th is actually Dream Day in the city of Oakland. It's a city holiday under declaration of the mayor. There have been Dream Day events over the years where people have gotten together and painted music performances. I actually got to perform at Dream Day one year, which was cool. And I think that's another way to just keep his name alive. He deserves that type of love and respect. I know that there's more in the works about Dream. People have talked about doing books. There's other documentaries and mini documentaries on YouTube you can check out. There's a lot of interview footage that's out there. I would love to one day see a full-length documentary on Mike Dream. I think that would be dope. I think the Bay Area needs it. For right now, I think his legacy is secure. To this day, Mike Dream is one of the most respected graffiti writers to ever do it. His message, his skills, and his personality and what he contributed is still alive to this day. So I just wanted to do my part to spread the word, talk about somebody who inspired me and show some love to Mike Dream. Rest in peace. This is another very important story in the history of the Bay.
Recognize where you got the game. We got our own style, got our own slang. Northern California is a West Coast thing. This is the history of the Bay. Recognize where you got the game. We got our own style, got our own slang. Northern California is a West Coast thing. This is the history of the Bay.